Speaking for 7 minutes, her speech is entitled Recovery Dynamics. Please welcome Doris Matthews.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and guest. I think I'd not be nervous by now, but for some reason, you guys, it just make me a nervous wreck. Anyway, my name is Doris Matthews, and I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. My sobriety date is September 13th, 1995, and God willing, and the creek don't rise, I will have 14 years clean and sober on that day. Now, hardly a family in America, and probably in this room, has not been affected by the disease of alcoholism and addiction. So today, I'd like to take the opportunity to define the disease concept to you, tell you briefly about my experience, and vary the format from the program just a little bit, and take a couple questions from the floor. First of all, alcoholism and addiction is a two-part disease. The first part is mental. Alcoholism or addiction centers in the core of the mind. It is focused in the thought, and it is an obsession. It's a mental obsession. And what happens is, once you think about drinking, you can't stop thinking about drinking until you actually take a drink. And that's the mental obsession. It just is a thought that overwhelms all other thoughts. And then once you actually take that drink, then the physical component of the disease takes place. Once you take a drink, then the phenomena of craving develops. And even if mentally and intellectually you want to stop because you know better, that alcohol has metabolized into your system and your body has taken control, and you cannot stop drinking until you get drunk. And once you get drunk repeatedly, you cause all kinds of damage, thank you, to your family, your friends, your reputation, your employer. And because of this, you suffer from a lot of disease and remorse. And I think, although it's not said in the documentation, that you also become physically sick because you become depressed and all sorts of other things go along. So not only is it a mental obsession and a physical craving, I think you also become spiritually ill. So I want to better define the disease just so that I make sure everybody really has it. And I want to quote the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says that men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. They are restless, irritable, and discontent until they can experience a sense of ease and comfort, which comes at once from taking a few drinks. After they have succumbed to that desire again, which is the mental obsession I was telling you guys about, and the phenomena of craving develops, which is the physical aspect I was telling you, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution never to drink again. This is repeated over and over and over, and unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there is little hope of their recovery. I want to tell you now just a little bit about myself. My dad was an alcoholic, and he left the home at the age of 6. I was the apple of my dad's eye, so when he left, I really didn't understand it, and I felt a tremendous sense of abandonment. So for the next 20 years or so, every time I saw him, he was more or less falling down drunk. I vowed at an early age that I would never, ever take a drink of alcohol. And I kept to that vow all through high school. I went to the prom, I went to college. I did not take my first drink until I was a junior in college. We were at a dorm party, drinking slow jam fizzes. Now, I always thought that alcohol tastes bad, so in these slow jam fizzes, they tasted like Kool-Aid. Now, I grew up in the hood, and I could not dance, which is a phenomenon, because everybody in my family could dance but me. I took a few drinks of alcohol, I was suddenly cool. I had never been cool in my entire life. That night, I could dance. I was popular. I was attractive. I was beautiful, and just whoever man in that room I wanted, he was mine for the taking. Now, I should have known I had a problem because I blacked out. And a blackout is when you are walking around awake drunk, but you don't know what's happening to you. So I went into a blackout, and I woke up the next day. I didn't remember anything that happened. All my friends commenced to tell me what a cool person I was. Alcohol was now my best friend. I commenced to drink. After that, it caused me some problems in college, but I was a social drinker at first. I used to be able to go to the bar, have a few drinks, and go home like somebody with sense. Over time, I crossed that invisible line where I couldn't stop drinking even if I wanted to. And that caused me a whole lot of problems in my life. I was miserable. I wandered around aimlessly with no sense of direction, no sense of purpose, nowhere to go, nobody looking for me, burning bridges with my family, friends, and employers every time I looked around. So over time, things got worse, never better. So even when I wanted to stop, I couldn't stop. But this last time I went to treatment, I think I went to treatment about 8 times, no more than 10. So if you guys are experiencing any of that, that happens. Now this journey has not always been easy, but one day at a time, with the help of a loving God and a 12-step program, I have stayed clean from any mood or mind-altering substance. So at this point, I know you guys may have had some questions that have been plaguing you over time, and I'd like to see if I could answer any questions that might help anybody out there. With the caveat, of course, that this is just my opinion, and you know about opinions. Richard.
Are there some people that might drink a whole lot but never become alcoholics?
Yes. There are different types of drinkers. There are social drinkers, there are problem drinkers, there are hard drinkers. But because they don't have the allergy, which is the physical craving, they will never become alcoholics.
Doris, you said you went 8, 9 times, 10 times to recovery program. What was the difference between the time you felt you had victory over it versus the other time? Why? Explain that process.
Each time I went before this time, I went for somebody else. The first 3 times I went so I would get fired from my job because, you know, if you go to treatment, they can't fire you even if you're screwing up every day. The next couple times I went for men, you know, boyfriends, exes, you know, they were going to sew me up and fix me. So, you know, I went for them. And a time or 2 I went for my family. And a couple of times I went just to dry out because I was virtually homeless, having lost everything that I owned. The last time, when I was just sick to my soul and I had lost everything, it wasn't about the things that I had lost. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I hurt so bad. And the drink had stopped working for me. I needed help. And the only way it works is I admitted to myself that I was powerless over alcohol, and that me, with my fine, brilliant mind, gone to college and done all of these things, pulled myself up by my bootstraps, could not overcome this disease without some help. Oh, my time up? Okay, thank you guys. I just want to say this one thing. If you know somebody's suffering from this disease, it's a physical, mental, and spiritual allergy, and they cannot recover on their own, they need some help. And you can see me after the meeting if you want to talk a little bit more about it and get a reference. Thank you.